I mean, he was a bit of a pickle, like any boy, but he wasn't badly behaved, and I think he fairly clearly understood where the boundaries lay. I mean, like all children, he tried it on sometimes, but he always lost. So I think he did finally realise that he wasn't necessarily God's gift to humanity. But no, I think, I mean, from my point of view, I would always say we had always had a very happy relationship. We used to go, because we were both, I became involved with the Scouts because of him belonging to the Scouts, and so we had a lot in common. He was always a great pal to me, and I valued that always. But I'm going to say we've always agreed on things, but I don't. There's a large measure of agreement always, and that's we've never really been at loggerheads over anything. And when I said something, he knew that I meant it. I mean, for instance, at one time there was a fashion amongst some of the scruffy boys in the locality. This was when we lived down on the coast, and they were all growing their hair, you know, almost like girls' hair. And I had said to him, go and get your hair cut. You look a right mess. No, he wasn't going to do it, because he got all sorts of things which meant that he hadn't got time to go and have his hair cut. And this went on for probably a week or a couple of weeks. And so then it was on the Friday, I said to him, well, whatever happens and whatever you plan to do, you've got to have your hair cut tonight, without fail. So I think he thought he could get away with that one. He thought he had some devious plan, but then on the Friday evening, I had, or at least Friday morning. That's right, when he went to school, I said, "Now don't forget, you have got to go and have your hair cut." And I'm not going to have it. It was the same old story. I said, "Well, if you don't have it cut, I shall deal with it." And of course I said to him, I shall do it while you're asleep, and then you'll have to have it cut. So as I never threaten the children unless I'm really meant to carry it out. So he came home having had his hair all cut, and we looked very smart, and we didn't take any notice, and we didn't say anything about it because we didn't want to be running our hands in glee to his satisfaction. So we just didn't say anything. But he knew darn well that if I said something, I meant it. There was not going to be any mucking about with that. But no, I think basically we always got on pretty well. Really, I've never had major disagreements with him, which is more than a lot of people would say about their children. Well, I suppose we've always discussed things fairly openly in the family, so you don't have the occasion. I mean, you don't work to a point where you've got a confrontation. I mean, things need to be dealt with at an earlier stage, really, whenever possible. I think that children should have restrictions laid on them, the same as the rest of us have restrictions on our lives. And they should know that when you say something, that's what you mean. You're not playing about with words. Girls are a slightly different matter, of course. I think perhaps you have to be a bit more devious with them. I didn't involve myself really particularly. It was usually Mum who dealt with that. The thing is, I suppose, that we've never had major disagreements over anything of. I mean, we might have had disagreement over some minor matters, because I mean that's nature, isn't it? But we've never had major disagreements. We've always got on, I think. Well, I can only speak it from my side, but they didn't leave home in disgust or anything like that, so I think we must have managed all right. But I think it's an understanding that children have got their rights, and they've got their responsibilities too, not just rights. And I think the same goes for grown-ups too, really. That they have their rights, but they've also got their responsibilities. And if you don't keep an even balance over this sort of situation, well, that's when the problems tend to arise, really. I can't say that I've ever had great turmoil in my family. We've always... It doesn't mean to say we've always agreed, of course. That would be abnormal, but we've never had any major upsets, really. Well, you just help your children grow up and have got happy memories of their childhood. I mean, that's the criteria ultimately. Of course, by the time you get to that stage, you can't do much about it if you've made a right cock up of things in the first place. But, well, yes, I mean, really, he had the opportunity of going to the university in where was it? Montreal, as part of his university training in England. And he was asked whether he would like to take advantage of going over to Canada, and he discussed this with Dorothy and I, and we said, oh, well, you never turn down a sensible suggestion, and it's all part of your development and your career if you've got a broad view of your subject. So if you can go to another country and get it, all well and good. So he went over and found out that, you know, there was a lot of work to do, and he had a very good professor he was working with. I don't understand. It was something to do with experiments of drugs on certain animals and that sort of thing. Anyway, it was all part of his degree course, and so he went there and spent I don't know, it must have been best part of a year, I think, over there, and then came back to England, and then after he qualified, I think it's at this stage, the professor got in touch with him and asked would he consider coming over and doing some other research work, and he asked us what we thought about it, and Dorothy and I said, well, you never turn down an offer of doing something if it's going to help you to progress further in your profession. So we saw no reason why he shouldn't take on that offer, and that's how he. And then he came over, and of course, I suppose during that time he met his wife to be, and well, that sealed the matter, didn't it? When we first knew that our daughters or sons were going to have a family, I mean, we were naturally delighted about it. I guess I can't remember specifically the occasion when we heard. When we heard the news, but well, we were always very fond of children, and so we enjoyed any news and so on about our children.